Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is all about the art of questioning. But before that, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button for more updates. Also, you will find different subjects in this YouTube channel. Just select the playlist section. And now, let's proceed to our main topic for today, which is all about the art of questioning. Art of questioning. Why ask question? Why do we need to ask questions among the learners? First, we ask questions to make connections. We need to ask questions among the learners to connect our lessons to the next lesson or our topic to the next topic. We ask questions to make predictions. We are using questions to make sure we understand what we have read or listened to. Questions strengthen reasoning abilities of learners as well as help them clarify, define their initial response to the text. So we ask questions to make connections. That's very important. We ask questions to make sure that learners understand the lessons, and we ask questions to make sure that or to develop the ability of the learners to respond, to defend their thoughts. Okay. Another, books not discussed lose their value. Questioning helps us to become better readers by making us think. Questions allow us to make sense of the world. They are the most powerful tools we have for making decisions and solving problems, for inventing, changing, and improving our lives as well as lives of others. What kinds of questions should we ask now among the learners? So we can use this what we call the Bloom's taxonomy pyramid by creating. Can the student create a new product or a point of view? Assemble, construct, create, design, develop, formulate, or write. Evaluating, such as can the student justify a stand or decision? Appraise, argue, defend, judge, select, support, value, or evaluate. Analyzing, can the student distinguish between the different parts? That is breaking the whole into parts. We can appraise, compare, contrast, criticize, differentiate, discriminate, distinguish, examine, experiment, question, or test. Applying. Can the student use information in a new way or a new scenario? They can choose, demonstrate, dramatize, employ, illustrate, interpret, operate, schedule, sketch, solve, use, and write. Understanding. Can the student explain their ideas or concepts? Disclassify, describe, discussed, okay, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, um, select, and translate. And remembering, can the students recall or remember the information? They can define, duplicate, list, memorize, recall, repeat, reproduce, and state. The lowest part or the lowest Bloom's taxonomy is remembering, and the highest is creating. This is the revised Bloom's taxonomy by Gradual, okay, and Anderson. So ito yung bago, remembering to creating. And they use gerund or yung mga nagtatapos sa ing because teachers can use it as part of their objective. Now, remembering. Can the student recall or remember information? That's the question. Okay? So, remembering our knowledge, the learners is able to recall, restate, or remembered learn information. Like, we can use recognizing, listing, describing, identifying, retrieving, naming. These are the some of the what they call this a German that you can use in asking questions. Just like, can you please recognize the, or can you please list the different parts of, like that, or describe. Yan, yung mga tanong na yan. No? Or itong mga to, pwede mo silang gamitin sa pagtatanong sa mga bata to determine if they still remember, recall, or restate the learned concept or information. Questions under level 1. Questions starting with what, where, when, why, and how, whose answers could be retrieved, recognized, and recalled from the text or on the lines of the text read, fall under remembering. So it's more on memorization or recall, simple recall. The next one is understanding. So understanding is, can the student explain ideas and concepts? So it's more on how, right? So understanding is the level two of the Bloom's taxonomy. The learners grasps the meaning of information by interpreting and translating what has been learned. So it is more on interpretations. It's like, can you interpret the meaning of this part of this stanza or poem? What does it mean? So exemplifying, summarizing, inferring, paraphrasing, classifying, comparing, and explaining. Sa mga bata, kahit primary yan, pwede mo naman silang papag-explain. In a simple thought lang. Yung idea lang nila about dun sa drawing, for instance. Okay? So, understanding, comprehension, or the questions under level 2 is, can you explain why? Can you write in your own words? How would you explain? Can you write a brief outline? What do you think could have happened next? What do you think? What was the main idea? Can you clarify? Can you illustrate? Does everyone act in the way that does? The next is applying. It's, can the students use the information in a new way? So, the learner makes use of information in a context different from one that was learned. So ito yung i-apply niya sa new situation. So just like implementing, carrying out, using, executing. Like, can you solve another problem? Parang ganun. Can you do this one? By comparing your answer to our first example, something like that. So there are some questions under this level 3 or applying or application. So we have, put yourself in the place of one of the characters and tell what you would have done. Maganda yon, di ba? Like if you are reading a story, if ikaw yon, anong gagawin mo? So that's a question about applying. So what would result if? Compare and contrast. What questions would you to find out? How would the character solve the similar situation of something? Put the main character in another story setting. How would he act? If you had a plan or a vacation for the main character, where would they go? So these are some questions that you can put if you want to develop the application skill of the learner. Okay, or determine if they can really apply what they have learned in a new situation. And the next one is analyzing. That is, can the students distinguish between different parts? So analyzing is breaking down into parts. Okay, this is a whole, then you break down into parts. The learner breaks learned information into its parts, determining how the parts interrelate to one another to an overall in structure or purpose through differentiating, organizing, and attributing. Example questions. What motive does blank have? This one. What conclusion can you draw about this? So, nagko-conclude na siya. What is the relationship between this? That's a breaking down. How is blank related to? What does support the fact that? What evidence can you find? What inferences can you make about? What generalization can be made about? What assumption do you make about? And what is the theme of? How, kunyari, sa math, what are the steps that we can use in solving, let's say, addition? Simple addition. So, what are the steps? Parang ganun. Anong muna natin gagawin? Parang ganun siya, itatanong mo sa mga bata, di ba? So, in analyzing, it is more on breaking down. Kumbaga, you will, from whole, i-break down mo siya para mas maintindihan siya ng mga bata by parts. Okay? So, that's analyzing. And then, evaluating. Can the students justify or stand a decision? Ito na yung magde-decide sila. I-defend nila yung sinasabi nila. Okay? Dapat meron silang mga reasons. So it involved the making a personal judgment on the text by the reader, usually based on his or her experience, evaluation of accuracy, discrimination of facts and opinion, recognition of emotionally charged words, identification of author's purpose, mood, tone, intent, evaluation of values presented. So questions under these might be compared two characters in the selection. Which was better person and why? Which character would you most like to spend the day with? And then, do you agree with the action of? How could you determine? Why was it better that? What choice would you have made about? How would you explain? What data was used to make the conclusion and would it be better? Pero dapat laging may explanation yan to determine evaluation. And finally is creating. Is can the student create products or points of view? This one is involving coming up with new ideas or reproducing the text information in other forms, like dramatizing, writing another ending, writing letter, musical interpretation. Like for an elementary, maybe they can draw. That is already a creating. Like for instance, 1 plus 1. Can you create another an object that is 1 plus that is related to 1 plus 1? They can create a house. Let's say 1 house plus 1 house is equal to 2 houses, something like that. So can you design a two? Can you see a possible solution to? If you have access to all resources, how would you deal with? What or why don't you devise your own way too? What would happen if? How many ways can you then can you create new and unusual uses for? Can you develop a proposal which would? So these are an open-ended. It's just like unscaffold questions that you can continue depending on what is your purpose. Okay. So activities and products under level 6. Invent machine to do a specific task. So it's more on ano to no medyo mga high school na to. Design a robot to do your homework, create a new product, give it a name and plan a marketing campaign, write about your feelings in relation to, write a TV show play, puppet show, role play song or pantomime about. So in mathematics for elementary level, gaya nga ng sabi ko, pwede siya yung kunyari 2 plus 2 equals. So can you relate this into real life? Can you draw an object representing 2 and another 2? So they can draw 2 apples plus 2 oranges is equal to 4 fruits. Something like that. And then design a new monetary system, develop a menu for a new restaurant using a variety of healthy foods, design a record book or magazine cover for, sell an idea. Devise a way to make up a new language and use it in an example. Write a jingle to advertise a new product. So, okay, so wag na to. How should questions be asked? Paano naman magtatanong? So we have this what we call the gradual psychological unfolding or the GPU, a discussion technique developed by the late Professor Basilisa J. Manhit, founder of the Department of Reading of the University of the Philippines. Sabi, as its name suggests, the story lesson is unraveled through a slow yet logical manner with questions and activities prepared by the teacher. Enable the learners to gradually understand the lesson through the series of questions which are gradually increasing in difficulty. So, dimensions of GPU according to her, knowledge or literal understanding, that's answer to information or WH, what, how, questions, WH, what, where, when, those are questions, are explicitly stated in the text or material. Comprehension or interpretation is the learner is tasked to read between the lines to make the inferences. Application, the learner uses or applies learned materials in a new and concrete situation, process, effects, and conclusions. Analysis, the learner breaks down the material into component facts so that its organizational structure can be understood, such as elements, hypothesis, statement of facts, and other synthesis. The learner puts parts together for the whole. So this one dimension for the GPU is the old Bloom's taxonomy, the original Bloom's taxonomy, kasi hanggang evaluation lang siya and there is a synthesis here. But in new Bloom's taxonomy or revised, there's no more synthesis but there is a creation. Anyway, let's get this one. To question well is to teach well. In the skillful use of questions, more than anything else, lies the fine arts of teaching that earns as such. Effective questioning should be reinforce and promote the learning objectives, include staging, Questions to draw pupils towards key understanding or to increase the level of challenge in a lesson as proceeds. Involves the learners or all the learners. Promote justification and reasoning. Create an atmosphere of trust where pupils' opinions and ideas are valued. Huwag kang mamamahiya. Show connections between previous and new learning. Encourage pupils to speculate and hypothesize. Encourage pupils to ask as well as to receive questions. Questioning technique in the classroom: encourage students to ask questions at any time. Give adequate considerations to all questions. Never evade questions. Scatter questions over the entire class. Pose questions within the ability of the student to whom the question is addressed. Baka sobrang hirap ng tanong mo, hindi nila masagot. And then ask questions to the inattentive. Require students to give complete answers. Do not permit frequent group response. And then ask open-ended questions. Avoid asking questions. Do you know what is open-ended, right? That is, halimbawa magtatanong ka, what do you know about this subject? Parang ganun. That's an open-ended question already. Okay, they can answer anything that they want. Avoid asking questions that can be answered by guessing, and use the keywords of questioning: the how, why, when, where, what, and which. And also use a follow-up questions when they answer, especially so that you can help them to understand what they are saying. Kasi there are some students na they just say it uh, for the sake dun sa first question mo, then and then hindi naman talaga nila alam. So much better na meron kang follow-up questions every time that you ask questions to them, so that you help them to understand what they are talking about. And then have a student speak loudly so that all may hear. Use correct grammar and terminology. Write questions in your lesson plans. Moving beyond the who, what, where, when, and why. Okay, and that's all about the arts of questioning. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Bye.